There's breaking news here in Washington tonight. Fox News has learned that Professor Henry Louis Gates and Sergeant James Crowley will meet at the White House at 6 p.m. on Thursday. During his phone conversation with President Obama, Sergeant Crowley suggested the idea of sitting down with the president and Professor Gates for beer. We're going to let you know more when we learn more. Now the story behind the 911 call that started the Gatesgate controversy. Wendy Murphy is the lawyer representing the woman who called 911. We went to Cambridge today to the scene, and Murphy went on the record. Okay, Wendy, nice to see you as always.
Good to see you too, Greta.
Your client is what relationship to this story?
She's the 911 caller, the famous or infamous, depending on how you viewed her, woman who decided that she saw something suspicious and called 911.
So she's walking down the street, or did someone else tell her? Let's walk a little bit.
She was walking to lunch and came upon an older woman who said, I don't know what I'm seeing, but I'm concerned. Maybe we should call police. Elderly people tend not to have cell phones, so my client dialed 911. And the rest is recorded for all to make their judgments. But in a nutshell, she said, I see something I'm concerned about. It looks like two men are trying to force their way into a home. She also said, I see suitcases, so maybe they live here. I don't know. I mean, she was very restrained in what she said she saw. She didn't particularly fear what she was witnessing, but she was being a good citizen. You know, this is an area where there have been a lot of break-ins lately. She works here, has worked here for 15 years, so she knew that this was something to be concerned about, something to bother to call the police about, although she also said, I don't know what I'm seeing.
Do you know how close she got to the house?
She was walking right here on this sidewalk, and so she couldn't exactly see. Remember, there's a post here. She was behind, her vision was partly back here, so the bush, she's described the bush as being in front of her view. The men she saw had their backs to her, and so she was very clear that she couldn't really tell too much of what was going on. But the most important part of the story, Greta, is that she didn't say, I see two black men, because from here, she couldn't tell their race. Their backs were to her. She didn't report that she saw two black men because she had no idea their race. And the report that she was racist and the only reason she called police is because she saw black men is just utterly ridiculous, totally false, and it really hurt her terribly because if you can hear them in the 911 tape, she says, I see two men, and it's the officer who says, well, are they black, white, or Hispanic? And she says, well, I'm not sure. And then, you know, to make an effort to answer that question, leans a little bit and says, oh, I see one guy, he looks like he might be Hispanic. The word black never came out of her mouth, and yet people have said she was the racist spark that fueled this controversy, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Did she hear anything?
She did, although to tell you the truth, she wasn't focused on what she was hearing, and she doesn't want this to become more controversial, so we're not revealing the things that she heard. She heard a lot of yelling. She heard Professor Gates yelling, and she doesn't want to add to the controversy. Even correcting the record, she's worried might create more controversy. She doesn't want that to happen. She's glad that it's working toward an amicable resolution. She respects the police. She respects Professor Gates. And she's glad the truth is out there, but she wants to move on.
All right. Without going into the content, what was said, which is, of course, part of the controversy, but in terms of whether the arrest itself might have been a disorderly, did she describe it to you that it was an out-of-control screaming at any point at all, so that you might think, I might have made that arrest, or I might not have made that arrest?
Well, I think what's fair to say is she does not believe the police acted inappropriately. Without describing the content of what she heard, there's only one person she heard screaming, and that was Professor Gates.